Chosen one, someone is sick with worry to the point of ill health, and even a police officer wants to know what you know regarding the truth that is finally surfacing. Your refusal to be broken by their schemes has become a weight they can no longer carry, and as their plots collapse, the authorities are beginning to look into the very shadows where this person once hid. This physical and legal reckoning is the inevitable end to a cold, deliberate decision they made to target your light, and now the certainty you have been seeking is arriving in the form of their total and public undoing. There was a time not so long ago when you were sharper than this. Your mind moved clean and fast. Your decisions came from a place of genuine clarity. You woke up and the day felt like something you owned. Your energy was yours entirely, and no one else was feeding from it. It's gradually something shifted. You started waking up foggy. Not sick, not sad, just dimmed. It felt as if someone had turned the voltage down on everything you were capable of. Decisions that should have been easy felt sluggish. Opportunities came to the edge of your life and dissolved before you could grip them. Your body started carrying symptoms that made no clean sense. Chronic fatigue arrived without explanation. Migraines came without warning. A low hum of anxiety lived in your chest even on days when nothing had gone wrong yet. You told yourself it was stress. You told yourself it was the season. You told yourself to rest more, eat better, breathe deeper, and maybe it helped for a little while, but it always came back, and you quietly stopped trusting your own energy because you could not figure out why you kept losing it. You whined. Here is what changes how you see that entire period of your life. The fog had a source. Your body was not failing you. Bad luck was not compounding on its own. Someone deliberately and with sustained focus targeted your clarity, your physical health, and your ability to move freely into what you were meant to become. This was not metaphorical. It was a literal, resourced effort directed at your well-being, your functioning, and the people closest to you. The goal was to keep you depleted enough that you could never quite accelerate into what you are actually capable of becoming. You were not imagining the drain. You were not being dramatic when something unseen felt like it was working against you. Your instincts, the ones you talked yourself out of because the alternative felt too dark to name, were operating perfectly the entire time. And here is where the whole architecture of this situation begins to turn. The person who set that fog in motion made one catastrophic miscalculation. That person underestimated the protection already built around you, and that mistake is about to cost them everything. There was a specific point when someone looked at you, really looked at you, and felt something shift inside them. It was not admiration. It was something darker and more complicated than admiration. It was recognition. It was the recognition that what you carry is real, that the light you operate from is not performance, that your gift, whatever form it takes in your life, your voice, your creativity, your capacity to connect, your way of seeing the world, cannot be faked or imitated without people eventually noticing the difference. That person noticed your gift before you fully claimed it yourself. Debate, a choice existed in that moment. That person could have honored what they saw. They could have let your light be what it was and built something of their own alongside it. But the deep, unexamined wound inside them, the wound that had never been brought into the light, would not allow that, so they chose the other thing. They chose what jealousy always chooses when it has no other tools. They chose to contain your light, dilute it, slow it down, and discredit it wherever possible. Dorftenborough. The campaign that followed was quiet. It was patient at first, whispers placed in carefully chosen ears. A small poisoning of the well here, a doubt seeded there, a door leaned shut before you could knock on it. Alongside the reputation work came the energetic work. Ill intent was directed specifically at your home, your health, and your relationships. Real resources changed hands for real damage. This was not impulsive. This was coordinated. Now hold this close, because it matters for everything that follows. The same precision used against you is now being used to document the people who ran this campaign. Every coordinated action leaves a trail. Every resource that changed hands leaves a record. Every person recruited into a scheme carries their own survival instinct. And when things start going wrong, people with survival instincts start talking. Those conversations are already happening, and the people receiving them carry badges. 111. You need to see this person clearly, not to fuel hatred toward them. You need to understand their energy so completely that nothing about it catches you off guard again. 111. This person presents beautifully. The performance is immaculate. In some spaces it is spiritual, draped in healing language and elevated consciousness that was borrowed from traditions they do not genuinely live. In other spaces it is professional and polished, always positioned, always saying the right things to the right faces. The mask is well crafted, and it has fit well for a long time, but beneath the mask there is a rot. There is an envy so structural to who this person is that removing it would collapse everything they have built their identity on. What makes you dangerous to them is not your success. It is your authenticity. You show up as yourself. You speak truth without rehearsing it. You love without calculating the return on it. Every time this person witnesses that in you, they feel the full distance between who you actually are and who they are merely performing. That distance is unbearable to them. So they borrowed your language. They studied how you communicate and tried to reconstruct it in their own delivery. They presented your energy to others as if it were their own creation. Because if the world sees them as you, they do not have to face the emptiness underneath the performance. Lock, lock, lock. If this message activated your knowing, hype this video to connect with more chosen ones on this journey. Lock. But here is the thing about poison. It has a half-life. It does not stay forever in the place it was put. It metabolizes, circulates, and eventually returns to the body of the person who manufactured it. Right now, that person is sick in ways they cannot explain to a professional. The anxiety has become physical. The insomnia is persistent. Something in their gut refuses to settle. There is a trembling quality to their days that nothing they are taking or doing is reaching. When they do see professionals, those professionals are finding real pathology. The stress in their body has been manifesting as genuine illness. What was supposed to take up residence in your nervous system has taken up permanent residence in theirs instead. Think about what that actually means. Sustained, unresolved guilt does something specific to a nervous system over time. A body that carries the weight of authorized harm, that watches its plans produce no results, and that now lives with the constant low hum of potential legal exposure, cannot regulate itself properly. Cortisol dysregulation sets in, digestion fails. Chronic pain develops without a single clean diagnosis. From the inside, it feels like being slowly consumed by something that cannot be named in polite company. And that is precisely the problem for them. This person cannot tell anyone why they are sick. Every honest answer leads back to what they did. So the sickness grows in isolation while the performance of wellness continues in public. The people around them are beginning to notice, not the cause but the cracks. They notice the way this person flinches at certain topics. They notice the way their eyes go elsewhere in moments that require full presence. They notice the way this person has become socially unpredictable, because maintaining the mask now takes more concentration than they can reliably deliver. Tomorrow's the control. This is not something you caused. This is natural law operating with precision. What was sent out in darkness is returning to its source, and what is moving toward you is something entirely different. This is the part that is going to sting before it sets you free. Not everything that was done to you came from a stranger. Some of it came with a familiar face. It came with a face you let close, a face you may have trusted, cared for, and given the unguarded version of yourself to. That person was not random. They were positioned, either deliberately directed toward you or operating from their own wound in a way that made them useful to the campaign running against you. They had access to your timing, your vulnerabilities, and your moments of self-doubt, and that access was used against you. Look, you already know the attacks weren't random, and if you're paying attention, you can feel it. Their walls are closing in. Or you've also noticed something else. A lot of Chosen One channels on YouTube have gone quiet. Videos removed, voices pushed off the platform. The mainstream media is cracking down on us, but we will not give up our voice. So let's talk about what we're doing about it. That's why I built Destiny Engine. And when you join, you're not just supporting your favorite channels, you're also fueling your own rise. It's a 360 win. It generates personalized sequences that help you rewire betrayal into transcendence, turn isolation into sacred power, and transform their downfall into your rise. We are using the Dark Elite's own weapons against them, taking their declassified consciousness technology that programmed competition and scarcity and repurposing it to serve cooperative intelligence. The beauty is, you don't even have to lift a finger. You put on the headphones, press play, and your subconscious is rewired while your enemies collapse under the weight of their own lies. This is why I created it in the beginning, so everything they did to break you becomes fuel for your purpose. The collective upgrade is underway. Start your Destiny Engine for $7 today and watch divine justice accelerate in your life. Link in the description. Or you felt it. You noticed things. You noticed small inconsistencies that were easy to rationalize one at a time. This person knew about something before you mentioned it. They were present at the wrong moments. Their ease with your confusion had a specific quality to it, like someone watching a storm they had predicted. Each time your instincts flagged something, you had a very human response. Or you talked yourself out of what you were seeing. You talked yourself out of it because naming it would have meant losing something. You talked yourself out of it because you had genuinely invested in this person. You talked yourself out of it because rewriting who someone is to you is one of the most expensive things a heart does. Your grief about this betrayal is valid. Your anger about it is valid. Your work right now is not to perform a forgiveness you have not yet reached, and it is not to deny the real damage that was done. Your work is to grieve it honestly, extract every lesson it holds, and then put it down. You are not putting it down as a gift to the person who wronged you. You are putting it down as a weight reduction for yourself. Chosen ones who carry betrayal in their bodies draw more of it toward them. So you grieve it, you name it, and you let what is larger than all of this take the rest from here. Toskitosu is what that person does not know. Every account they provided about you, every move they reported, every piece of information they passed along is being compared right now against documented evidence, and it does not match. The gaps between the version of you they described and the version the evidence reflects are not small discrepancies, they are craters, and the people doing the comparing notice craters. What was done against you was not improvised. It had structure, but it had multiple components running simultaneously, and each one was designed to reinforce the others. Someone with knowledge of certain practices directed, focused, sustained ill intent at your physical well-being and at the people you love most in your home. The goal was straightforward. Keep your energy depleted, keep your mind foggy, and keep your body functioning just poorly enough that you could never gain the altitude you are capable of. The unexplained health struggles in your household were not coincidence. They were a deliberate component of a larger plan. One auditus dultafungula, the second component, targeted your reputation. It was a slow, patient campaign to pre-poison your name in spaces where it would cost you most. Lies were dressed as concern. Associations you never had were suggested to the right people. The goal was to arrive at doors before you did, and ensure they were already closed by the time you reached them. The third component was infiltration. Someone was positioned toward you under a very specific disguise. The disguise was built to speak the exact language of your dreams. This person would arrive as a collaborator, a mentor, someone who appeared to see exactly what you are building and wanted to help it reach its potential. The things they would say would feel pulled directly from your own private prayers. The timing would feel divinely appointed. The purpose of that person is not to help you. The purpose is to get close enough to compromise you, to position your name and energy alongside whatever is unraveling on their end, and to gather what can be used against you if needed. If not, here is the turning point. This entire architecture is collapsing from the inside. The component that was supposed to destroy your health has instead destroyed the health of the person running it. The reputation campaign has backfired in the circles that matter most, with the people who were fed those fabricated stories now encountering evidence that the stories were lies. And the infiltration attempt is in a precarious position because the larger operation it connects to is now under active official scrutiny. The machine that was built to stop you is consuming itself. You did not have to dismantle a single piece of it. You only had to stay in your lane and keep building. Right now you need two capabilities operating at the same time, and most people can only hold one. You need the elevated view. You need the ability to rise above your immediate emotional landscape and see the full terrain. You need to see not just what is directly in front of you, but the pattern underneath it, and the reason beneath the what. When you are inside chaos, everything looks like crisis. When you rise above it, you see architecture. You see a setup for something significant. The elevated perspective does not panic. It observes with precision, identifies what actually matters, and moves only when the moment is right. You need that quality right now. And at the same time, you need depth. You need the ability to go honestly into your emotional truth without drowning in it. Grief that has not been expressed is still living in your body. Anger that was swallowed to keep a false peace is still taking up space in there. The ache of love that was real and was used against you is still carrying weight. Those feelings are not weaknesses, they are information, and energy that is genuinely released, rather than further repressed, becomes fuel for what comes next. The combination of clear, elevated perspective and honest emotional depth is what makes you impossible to permanently stop. You cannot manipulate someone who sees clearly and feels fully at the same time. There is no gap left to work with when both of those faculties are operating together. Something is coming to you soon. It may arrive as a conversation you did not expect. It may be something you encounter that seems minor, but lands in you with the full weight of recognition. This is the moment when the scattered pieces arrange themselves into a shape you can finally name, where you stop wondering if you were seeing things correctly and know with your whole body that you were right all along. When that moment arrives, do not act from the heat of it. Rise first, breathe first, ground first, then decide how you move. The action you take after the clarity arrives matters more than the clarity itself. Chosen ones who react from the wound in that moment can give the opposing side exactly what it needs to reframe your truth as instability. Chosen ones who rise first and speak from a grounded place deliver testimony that lands with real weight in formal settings. Real resources were spent against you. These were not impulsive gestures. This was deliberate, strategic, significant investment in the specific project of stopping you. Payments were made to people, situations were funded, resources were committed to producing specific outcomes in your life. At some point, The decision was made that what you represented required treating you as a serious operational problem, and it did not work. Every person recruited, every resource committed, and everything thrown at the wall of what you have built ran directly into protection that the opposition never accounted for. That protection is the authentic love in your home. It is the genuine relationships you have nurtured. It is the inner work you have done quietly and privately, the work that nobody paid you for and nobody witnessed. It is the animals around you who carry their own protective field. It is the full ancestral line behind you whose authority no amount of directed ill intent can negotiate with. That protection does not announce itself. It does not negotiate. It simply holds, and with every failed attempt, the financial exposure grew, the paranoia compounded, and the number of people who now knew too much about the campaign multiplied. People who know too much have a survival instinct. When it becomes clear that a scheme is collapsing, when legal exposure stops being theoretical and becomes visceral, when the question shifts from whether things will fall apart to how much personal damage can be limited, those people start calculating. They start sharing information with parties they were never supposed to speak to. The infrastructure of the campaign is perforated. What was meant to be contained is now moving, though tall, and here is what you need to carry as settled, permanent understanding. The resources spent against you left records. Every transaction became a document. Every person paid became a potential witness with their own interests to protect. Every instruction issued, every confirmation sent, every communication that planned or acknowledged what was being done exists somewhere on a device, in a message, or in someone's memory that is now cooperating. It were nothing. The investment made against you has become the evidence that unmakes its investor. That is not poetic framing. That is the structural consequence of building harm on a documented foundation. It were nothing. Pull the curtain back all the way now. You deserve to see this completely. This is someone who has never once in their adult life sat still long enough to look honestly at themselves. Every time real self-examination started knocking, they found something external to focus on instead. Someone to control, someone to drain, some drama to create or inhabit, some performance to deliver. Anything to avoid the single devastating question that dismantles people who have built everything on a false identity. Who am I when no one is watching, and is that person someone I can actually live with? The honest answer, had it ever been faced, would have been no. And some part of them has always known it. This character was articulate, convincing and fluent in the language of growth and healing. It borrowed your words, your energy, and your way of being in the world, and tried to wear those things as a second skin, because wearing something close to you is easier than doing the work of becoming themselves. That character is now cracking. It is not cracking from one single exposure. It is cracking from the sheer accumulated load. Maintaining a performance of that scale while simultaneously watching a coordinated campaign dissolve, while simultaneously watching you refuse to fall, while simultaneously carrying the awareness that formal questions are being asked about their activities, that is a load that no nervous system built on deception can sustain indefinitely. Something breaks under that weight. The body is always the first to break. Obsession. A private reckoning is underway for this person. The choices they made are now being examined from the inside. The path they chose, the one built on borrowed light and other people's energy, has not delivered what it promised, and the person who was watched, studied, envied and targeted has been quietly building something that all of that interference could not stop. What this person sees now is the full cost of what they chose. And somewhere underneath all the damage they have caused is the dim awareness of what they missed. That awareness is not your responsibility to address, but it is your confirmation. The universe does not misplace what was done to you. It never has. You were never alone in this. Not for a single day. In your immediate world, there are people who have loved you without agenda. These are people who showed up in quiet and consistent ways that do not get celebrated, who held things steady when you were wobbling. Some of them you may have taken for granted because their reliability made them feel like background. See them now, name them to yourself, tell them what that reliability has meant. They are part of the reason you are still standing. Beyond your immediate world is the full ancestral line behind you. Every person who came before you, who endured something hard and kept going, encoded something real in your blood. They did not carry their most difficult chapters so that someone's coordinated bitterness could be the final word on your potential. That lineage carries authority that no external campaign can dissolve. And there are people now moving toward your life who represent something genuinely new. A collaboration that is real this time. An opportunity that comes with breathing space rather than manufactured urgency. A partnership with someone who has genuine standing and real access. The kind of access that turns your ideas into structures that actually exist in the world. This person is coming toward you because what you carry is legitimate and the territory they operate in has genuine use for it. Though this expansion may include physical movement, it may bring a real reason to operate beyond the geography where you have been contained. It may bring a shift in the scale of what you are building, a shift that moves you beyond the reach of the people who have been monitoring the smaller version of your life. Though there is also official alignment coming that extends beyond the investigation itself. There are people with formal authority and genuine integrity who are oriented toward outcomes that align with yours because what you are building and what they are working toward point in the same direction. Here is the distinction you need to carry. Genuine support does not rush you. It does not manufacture a closing window. It gives you the space to be discerning because it intends to earn your trust through demonstrated consistency over time, not through intensity of early presentation. The counterfeit version of support will feel like a perfect fit almost immediately. It will speak your language before it has had time to learn it. And beneath that perfect early presentation, you will find a subtle but consistent pressure toward commitment. Your real support can wait. It is not afraid of your discernment. It is counting on it. Watad Vrail, this is the part that nobody hands to chosen ones directly, and it may be the most important thing in this entire account. Watad, you have been too quiet. Not weak, not passive. You have been genuinely strategic and measured, and you have chosen your battles with real wisdom. But somewhere along the way, the wisdom of not reacting became a habit of not speaking at all. Those are not the same thing, and the cost of confusing them has been real. You have swallowed things that deserved to be said. You have let behavior pass because naming it felt like more trouble than absorbing it, or because the person responsible did not seem worth the clarity, or because you told yourself it did not matter enough to address. And every time you made that choice, every time you placed someone else's comfort above your own truth, it went somewhere in your body. What had went into your shoulders, it went into the jaw you clench at night without noticing. It went into the low-grade exhaustion that full sleep does not fix. It went into the slight dimming that people close to you have sensed even when they could not name its source. Watad, the exhaustion you carry is not only from what was done to you externally. A significant portion of it comes from the internal conflict between what you know and what you have been willing to say aloud. That conflict draws energy every single day. It runs unresolved. Watad Vraiding conflict, to preserve a false peace, is not the same as being peaceful. Protecting someone else's comfort at the expense of your own truth is starting a war inside yourself. You have been fighting that internal war simultaneously with the external campaign. You have been doing it on two fronts with one body, and you are still standing. That should tell you everything you need to know about what you are built from. But that internal conflict needs to end now, not because you have to go looking for confrontation, but because you have to stop swallowing what is yours to speak. A sovereign person does not perform smallness to make others comfortable with their limitations. A sovereign person does not apologize for knowing who they are. A sovereign person does not carry the emotional weight of people who chose not to extend them the same consideration. Speak. Do not speak from the wound. Speak from the grounded, centered place in you that has survived everything aimed at it and emerged knowing more, not less. That place does not need to convince anyone. It simply states what is true and leaves the truth there to do its own work. This applies to the officer who wants to know what you know. Speak. Do not soften your account for anyone's comfort. Clarify. This applies to anyone in your immediate world who has been drawing benefit from your silence. Speak. Not explosively, precisely. Use the specific, unhurried language of someone who has been paying full attention and is no longer pretending otherwise. Tonify. This applies to the conversation you still sometimes have with yourself, the one where you consider the possibility that the things said about you might contain some truth. Stop that conversation. They do not contain truth. You know they do not. Speak that to yourself with the same authority you will use everywhere else. Ward, the chosen one who reclaims their voice, does not just free themselves. They change the frequency of everything and everyone around them. Their sickness is the receipt. It is the physical, material evidence of something that cannot be argued or reframed. It is proof, written in a living body, that everything sent against you in darkness found the wall of what you have genuinely built and returned with interest. Consider what it takes to drive someone to that level of desperation. You do not build a sustained, resourced, multi-layered campaign against someone irrelevant. You do not sacrifice your finances, your health, your freedom and your integrity trying to neutralize someone who poses no real threat. You do not run that hard from someone who is not genuinely ahead of you. Their desperation has always been a mirror. Every scheme run against you was a vote of confidence in your capacity. Every resource spent was an acknowledgement that what you carry cannot be manufactured or replaced. Every sleepless night they are enduring right now is confirmation, delivered in a language that cannot be spun, that you were never the small thing they needed you to believe you were. You were the threat. You were always the threat, not because you came for them, because you came for your destiny. And a person moving full speed toward their destiny is the most dangerous thing in the world to someone whose entire agenda depended on you staying still. The investigation is real, and it is moving forward. The people who were paid to harm you are now serving their own interests, which means they are inadvertently serving yours. The counterfeit partner is still incoming, and your eyes are fully open. The genuine expansion, the real collaboration, and the opportunities with actual integrity behind them are also incoming. You will know the difference because you have been shown exactly what to feel for. The healing in your home is not wishful thinking. The fog is lifting because what was manufacturing it no longer has the resources to keep that machine running. Whoa, here is what you do with all of this. You document everything. You keep a clear dated account of unusual contacts, unexpected approaches, and interactions that leave a strange residue in you. You do it not obsessively, but rigorously. Your record carries formal weight. Told. You ground yourself every day. You move your body. You breathe deliberately. You stay rooted in the present moment. Discernment lives in a regulated nervous system. Fear and paranoia live in a dysregulated one. Do not give the latter any terrain to occupy. Told. You do the inner work, not because you are broken. You do it because every wound that has not yet been integrated has been a place where the campaign against you found its only lasting purchase. Close those doors through honest, unglamorous self-examination. When those doors close fully, the leverage disappears and it cannot be rebuilt. And you speak. You speak in every relevant context. You speak in formal settings when the right contact arrives. You speak in your relationships with anyone drawing benefit from your silence. You speak in the conversation you have with yourself about who you are and what you are worth. The truth in your mouth is your weapon, your protection, and your liberation operating as one. You are the sovereign of your life. Nobody occupies that space without your authorization anymore. Not the fear that was manufactured for you, not the fog that was directed at you, and not the internalized version of any narrative someone else needed you to believe about yourself. No officer who wants to know what you know is not a threat to you. That contact is part of the architecture of your vindication. Speak when they come, speak clearly, speak without performance, speak with the authority of someone who knows exactly what happened and has been waiting for the right moment to say it. And you, standing here right now, still whole after all of it, still capable of love after all of it, still building after all of it, you are not the casualty of what happened to you. You were never the casualty. You are the reason it all had to be this intense. Because what is coming for you required someone who had been tested at this depth and came through it with their truth intact. Because the platform you are moving toward needed someone who had been genuinely forged, not just fortunate. Because the people you are going to reach with what you carry needed someone who had walked through the dark and refused to extinguish their own light in the process. And the person lying awake right now, sick and scared and running out of explanations, does not know it either. But you do. Stand up, walk forward, keep your eyes open, your heart forward, and your voice ready. The new day that was promised is not still coming. Chosen one, it is already here.